Hey YouTube, welcome back to Tinker Tools. Tonight we're going to be taking a viewer request for a comparison, so let's go ahead and get right into that on Tinker with Tools. So typically speaking, most of my videos do have some sort of influence of the viewers, but every so often I do take the opportunity to take a specific viewer request from one of our longtime commenters, and that is going to be the topic of today, where George over on YouTube actually asked to see a comparison between the DCD 800 and the DCD 799. Now this is going to be their compact XR drill driver. This is their atomic hammer drill, so this is not a true apples to apples comparison, but we are going to focus on the points where they are comparative, so we are going to be leaving out the masonry drilling out of this test. I should mention that while this is a hammer drill, you can get the 805 version of this, and that would obviously give you the hammer drill function. It would come with a little bit more length than what you're going to see out of the drill driver, obviously. Likewise, you could go ahead and go get the DCD 794, which is the atomic drill driver. The problem I have with that drill is it is dropping quite a bit in power versus this drill, and it is roughly half of what this tool is. And so I think two people are more likely to cross shop this and wonder if they can get away with a little bit less performance for a little bit less money versus maybe going all the way down to that DCD 794. Now obviously one of the biggest differences is going to be the badging on these tools. They are both Dewalt 20 volt tools, but you are going to be seeing that this is in their atomic line, which focuses mostly on their compact tools. The XR lineup though is going to be their more premium or upscale. Now they have blurred the lines quite a bit by introducing things like power detect, so it does get a little bit more convoluted, but in terms of compact drill drivers, this is going to be the top offering from Dewalt. Now in terms of size, believe it or not, the compact XR is going to be a little bit shorter in overall length than it. When it comes to weight, that is where we are going to see a little bit difference, obviously measuring both with a 1.7 amp hour power stack. The compact XR is about 3 pounds 9 ounces, where the atomic is going to be 3 pounds 4.5 ounces. So about 5 ounces of difference. If you want truly lightweight, the atomic lineup is still going to be the way to go for that, but I do think that this is light enough weight for most people that they are going to benefit from the extra performance on it. Now the other differences between the tools, one of the most pronounced in my opinion is going to be the chuck on the XR drill compared to that of the Atomic. The Atomic has a plastic outer sleeve, and I haven't had any performance issues with it holding on to bits necessarily. I do think the metal chuck on the XR is going to be more premium. It's going to feel a little bit nicer. I do think it tightens down a little bit better and just overall a bit more rugged in my opinion, and that is where some of the weight is going to be with this tool. One of the next differences then is going to be in the speed at which these tools operate. In speed 1, the tool is going to be at 450 RPMs, and then up in speed 2, it's going to be at 1,650 RPMs. When you move up to the compact XR, that's where you're going to be seeing 650 RPMs in speed 1 and 2,000 RPMs in speed 2. So in terms of what they're best suited or best tailored for, I do think this is going to work better in lighter duty situations where a little bit more control is going to be beneficial. Now the next big difference is going to be that in the light. This one is just going to have a single LED that is going to turn on when you turn the tool on and stay on for a little bit. With the compact XR, you do have their more premium light, which is a little bit more directional. You can control which direction it's pointing within a reason. And then you do have a simple on when you turn it on. It is a brighter LED, most definitely, but then you also do have a very bright mode where you can leave, when you press it on, it is going to stay on for up to 20 minutes and give you almost like a work light. Now we've covered most of the differences. In terms of similarities, the grip on these tools is going to be virtually identical. There's not a lot of difference there. Obviously they're going to run off all the same batteries. I like to run both of these tools on the 1.7 amp hour power stack unless I really have to get a large quantity of work done, and then I might run on a slightly bigger battery like a 5 amp hour XR, or even moving up to the larger power stack battery. On those small power stack batteries, both of these tools are going to receive a performance benefit over, say, running them on a 2 amp hour XR battery. And for me, that's one of the big selling points of Dewalt, is just having a compact powerhouse of a battery that's going to allow you to get quite a bit of work done at a performance level, just maybe not for extended durations. And that's not necessarily what you're going to be doing most of the time with a more compact drill. All right, so now we are going to cover a few different performance testing categories. The first thing we're going to do is compare the clutch sensitivity, and we'll go ahead and kind of show you that on the screen. And then I'm going to go right into some driving and drilling testing, where we work with progressively larger fasteners to start to try and see where the separation between these tools are, so you can kind of understand the performance that you're going to be getting with them. And then after that, we'll go ahead and come back here for some conclusions. All right, so I'm recording the conclusions on the same night that I did the performance testing, so I don't have the final times, but I obviously know where this one stands, and the Compact XR drill is the more performant option. First off, when it came to the clutch sensitivity, I think that's where you start to see the lower RPMs perhaps benefit this tool a little bit, where the clutch can engage a little bit more consistently because the tool is working a little bit slower. I think if clutch precision and consistency is going to be a key for you, I think you might be better off with the lower power tool. Next up on the driving results, I think that was the one where, yes, there was a difference, but surprisingly, this tool was able to do each one of those fasteners up in speed 2 without having to drop down. It has sufficient torque up in that upper gear, just with a little bit lower RPMs, and so that is something that did surprise me a little bit in doing this testing. When you move over here, you're just going to be doing everything a little bit faster, and as we talked about with the clutch consistency, it is pretty easy to overdrive this tool with just how powerful and how fast it is. And that's something that showed through with most of those fasteners. When we move over to the drilling, obviously I saw a performance difference between these two drills, and that's where you're going to start to really notice the difference between them, is especially when you move up to the bigger fasteners. In Speed 2, this one had to tap out a fastener earlier and actually move down, and it also stalled on the very end of the 1-inch bit as well, where this one sailed through the first 4 fasteners, and it was only on that 1 5/8 self-feeding boring bit, but it still did it faster in Speed 1, likely due to those 650 RPMs. This is a tool that in performance, it really does get powerful enough that if you're not being careful with the tool, because there is no auxiliary handle or extra safety protections, you really can get to a point where this thing can rip out of your hand because it is powerful enough. You're not going to be seeing that as much with this tool. If that is going to be a concern for you, I think this one will limit what you're capable of doing a little bit more so that you're maybe even a little bit safer without even thinking about it. This one, the bigger the bit, you are going to have to pay a little bit more attention to make sure you're braced well and you got a good handle on the tool so it doesn't rip out. It is powerful enough when you get to those bigger bits, it can do that. Now, obviously, we've talked a lot about the similarities and the differences between these tools. When it comes to price, they are actually more similar than you might think. When you're talking about bare tool price, I can usually find the DCD 799 for just over $100 on Amazon, and this one tool only is not going to be that much further along. I typically will see this sub 120 or right around that 120. So at a $10 price difference between these tools, so unless you're just looking for a lighter duty tool that is going to have a little bit less power, I don't think that there is enough difference between these in terms of weight savings and size savings that you're going to want to go down to this one necessarily for cost sake. The $10 extra, in my opinion, is well worth it for the DCD 800. It is the nicer tool. You can also get the DCD 805 for roughly that 120, but it does get to be a little bit bigger. It is pushing close to 7 inches, whereas these are going to be sub 6.5 inches. And I think that's where, even though this doesn't have the hammer function, for the majority of people in my life, and definitely in the comments here on YouTube that ask which drill would I recommend, for the majority of people, this is going to be the drill that I'm going to recommend. They really just did achieve a great sweet spot of a blend of size and performance and keeping things just super compact while still giving you a very powerful and functional drill, and it certainly is something that I do enjoy using. On Dewalt's Atomic line or on their other kind of brushless line that they have over at Lowe's, for example, the DCD 794 and the 793, the drill driver versions of these tools, I really just don't think they're worth all that much of your time, because although they are small and compact, I think they lack substantial performance, and I think in that class there are going to be better quality tools that are going to give you more performance in roughly the same size. Now, with either of these tools, I highly recommend going out and getting the compact power stack batteries just because of how much performance they pack. And while the price on them was quite high when they first came out, you can now get reasonably priced kits with this tool where you do get a power stack battery. I'll have that link down below. But additionally, you can just buy the power stack batteries right now, a 2-pack on Amazon for $95. So there are definitely some good options out there to get really premium batteries that are going to kind of transform these tools into something more. All right, George, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope the rest of you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about this comparison, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below. If you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and make sure you turn on notifications so you get notified whenever I put out a new video. Until next time, I appreciate all the support, and I'll catch you on Tinker with Tools.